Okay, I think we should be ready to go. There's just one person being admitted in. So good evening, everyone. You're all very welcome to ATU's online flexible professional development virtual open evening. My name is Jean Gilligan, and I am the head of online learning business development and operations manager here in ATU, and I'll be your host for this evening. This evening, you're going to hear from Bridie Killoran, Careers and Learning Pathways Manager at ATU, on upskilling for the future of work and how to choose the right course for you. Welcome, Bridie. Eamon Walsh, Head of Department Online, Flexible and Professional Development at ATU, on our course offerings and the benefits that upskilling through flexible learning can offer you. Hi, Eamon. Joanne Harmon, Head of Online Learning Student Experience at ATU, on the supports available to flexible learners and how best to fit your studies into your life. Good evening, Joanne. Donald Hannigan, Executive and Professional Education Coordinator for the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal and graduate of the MBS Innovation and Leadership Executive course in ATU Donegal, which is open for applications as part of our January intake. Some housekeeping before we start. We're not taking questions within the webinar itself. However, if you have a question, please type it into the chat of the meeting and our team will get back to you, or if time is permitting, we're going to address them at the end of the session. This Q&A section of the webinar is not going to be recorded as part of the event. The rest of the webinar is recorded, just so that you're aware of that. So we're going to start this evening with you, Bridie. And I know you might want to share some slides, but I'm wondering if you could give us an overview of the latest emerging trends and developments within the industry and where there might be opportunities or demands for people for upskilling.
Perfect. Good evening, all, and thank you, Jean, for that introduction. And thank you also for the opportunity to talk about the Atlantic Technological OFPD My Career Path service and an exciting promotion that we're going to talk about today. This service really is for people in the workplace looking to upskill, reskill, and link into our courses that are available from online flexible professional development. So, Jean, if it's okay, I'm just going to share my slides and hopefully that they're coming up there now for you.
We can see them, Bridie. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. So here you will see My Career Path, and this is the ATU Career and Learning Pathway Service. My name is Bridie Killoran, and I'm the Career and Learning Pathways Manager. So this My Career Path is an innovative online career development service for people in the workplace. It offers one-to-one career guidance, access to career learning pathways, a fantastic e-learning hub, which is very much around career development with short videos, etc., to help people, I suppose, discover the right course and the right track for themselves. But also it looks at the recognition of prior learning and to be able to give relevance to that work experience that you've had in the workplace. So just to kind of around your question, Jean, in terms of the skills, and for this slide, you'll just see some of the key skills that really are relevant. And I suppose I particularly looked at our region, that our university is based in, and I pulled off from the Regional Enterprise Plan for the West, the Regional Enterprise Plan for the Northwest, and the National Smart Specialisation Strategy for Innovation. So all of these reports are highlighting these are the particular skills that are going to be particularly relevant in the workplace and for future careers over the next number of years. And I know Eamon is going to talk to the courses that we have available, but you will see a lot of our courses linked directly into where these skills needs are. Now, you'll see also, I suppose, the profile is changing. So, we're kind of looking at digital transformation, green transformation, renewable energy, climate change, and sustainability. So they're very much to the forefront. But of course, in our region, what has been very strong over, the last number of years and will continue to be is, areas in the life sciences, med tech, medical devices, agri-food, agri-tech, tourism, cultural, creative sector, entrepreneurship, marine and blue economy, and of course, advanced manufacturing, engineering, and ICT. So here is just, as I say, a kind of an idea in terms of the skills that they really are promoting that are going to be so relevant over the next number of years. So I'm going to move on to my next slide and to
Okay.
this very kind of exciting offering that we're, offering people now here that are in the room and are looking at our courses that are, available. So we're offering a free career advice service to help people choose the right course. So maybe those that aren't kind of really sure about the course for them, we are offering a free career advisory package. So this is going to be available up until the 5th of January 24. So it's going live on Thursday, the 23rd. So this Thursday, and as I say, up till January 24. So it's really good timing, when people are going to make those decisions. Now you have the QR code here if you want to have a look at that, and it'll bring you directly to our webpage and our promotion. But we'll also put the link in the chat so people can, have a look at it. So this service is going to be, as I say, for people in the workplace, entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, returners to education, people looking to accelerate their career. And when you go onto our webpage, you will see what's involved in this. So we're going to help you map your strengths, achievements, and course choices to suit your career goals. So as careers advisors, we're focused on your career goals. So there will be a live chat available, and that'll be manned by a qualified careers advisor. And that's going to be every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 1 to 4:30 every day. And as I say, it's starting this Thursday, the 23rd of November, right up until the 5th of January. And we will be able to help you with advice on course applications, information on funding and learning supports, and referral for recognition of prior learning to our RPL coordinators, but also linking to the online student advisors. And I know Joanne is going to talk to that shortly as well. There'll also be an opportunity on our website to fill out a short form, and you can book a meeting with a qualified careers advisor to help you with your careers advice, designed to empower you with the knowledge and tools to take the next step. So the program, briefly, it involves the fast track menu that you can see there and how we can help you. You can choose a maximum of 2 areas that we can work with you. And it's going to be around career advice, course planning, course research, strengths profile. So this is a nice little online psychometric assessment that we can do with you to help identify the courses that suit your strengths. Other important information around the National Framework of Qualifications, NARIC, international qualifications and how they transfer over here, and the recognition of prior learning, research funding options, and then finally your application toolkit. We use really good AI tools on our platform, which uses help you to develop a CV builder using AI with CV 360. So really good kind of supports that will help you if you're putting together a portfolio of evidence, etc. So that's all my slides. So thanks, Jean. I'll stop sharing now and I'll pass back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Bridie. Just a couple of things. On your first slide, you identified a number of sectors that we know that there's requirements for upskilling, but they're only some of the areas that are covered by the courses within ATU. So we have over 400 programs as part of the OFPD offering, and OFPD is online, flexible and professional development. So we have over 400 programs, and I know Eamon is going to talk to those that start in January, but we will have another large cohort, or larger cohort, that are going to start in September. So even if the sector you're considering wasn't included on that slide, there may be, other programs, other areas that we also can facilitate. I'm thinking of nursing, I'm thinking of culinary. There's a whole range of those there. You've also mentioned RPL, Bridie, and I just thought maybe for the audience that might know what that is, it might be good to provide. I'm thinking of an example. We had an open evening before a virtual event during the summer, and we spoke to Michael, who I thought was a really good example of somebody who went through my career path and found it so valuable, and the recognition of his prior learning. So if you could maybe give an example of something like that, Bride, it would be really helpful, and explain what RPL is for those online.
Yeah, so the recognition of prior learning, and I suppose it really is about giving value to that work experience that you've had in the workplace and how it can give value to, for example, an entry into a course, advanced entry, or for exemptions. So we look at informal learning, formal learning, and as I say, we have a fantastic, unit manned by RPL coordinators that will help you kind of navigate, this complex area. So, to give kind of the key principles around it, link you to the course coordinators and give you that information and help you prepare your portfolio of evidence so you can present yourself in terms of getting whatever, exemptions or advanced entry or entry into a program of your choice.
Yeah, and it's really important that people recognize that their experience has a value, and they may not be aware of that or know how it can be a benefit or help to them when they're applying for a program. So, for example, somebody may be working in the medtech industry as an operator, maybe familiar with something like clean rooms and accessing them and the gowning procedures, but may not realize there's a value to that with regards to a program like the Higher Cert and GMP and exemptions possibly through that. So it's really important that people are aware that they can get recognition for their work experience, for their training, for their prior learning to help them to access programs. But thank you, Bridie. That was really great. We might move on if that's okay to you, Eamon. And I think you'd also like to share some slides with us, which feature some of the courses that are open for application as part of the January intake.
Yes, indeed. I'll just share my slides now. Can you hear me okay, Jean?
We can hear you, and I'll let you know when I can see the slides up on the screen.
Okay, just give me 2 seconds now and I shall share.
So if you could just give an overview maybe of the courses that we have on offer and what's currently open for January, that would be great. Thanks, Eamon.
Okay, great. No problem at all. Can you see my slides there?
I can see your slides now. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. And good evening, Jean, and good evening to everybody who's tuned in for the webinar this evening. It's wonderful to be here with you. I'm just going to talk about the programs that we have starting in January as part of our online flexible and professional development offerings here at Atlantic Technological University. So let me just click through there. I think building on what Bridie had just talked about there, while we provide lifelong learning and professional development opportunities and learning opportunities for learners, very much we are focused on upskilling for the future of work. So many of our learners are already in employment and looking to upgrade their skills or reskill into a different area. And we provide opportunities for that in a range of different disciplines. So from biopharma and industry 4.0, medical devices to education, business and humanities, there's something really there for everybody. And that's very much at the core of what we're offering. Might just move on to the next slide now and talk a little bit about the programs that we offer. So the slide's a little busy, but I'll just take you through it. Of those 400 courses that Jean mentioned earlier, approximately just over 100 of those, 104, are available for start in January. The programs are offered by many of our colleges across the ATU, from Galway right up to Donegal, and Sligo and St. Angela's College in Sligo as well. The delivery mode, as you can see there from the middle, is varied. It's designed to be flexible, especially for those people that I mentioned who are in the workplace. So as you can see, many of the courses are fully online. Some are what we call blended, and I'll explain what that is in a little bit, and just 3 are on campus. In terms of the areas of interest that we offer, so we cover a wide range of disciplines across the ATU. In terms of our programs, we cover everything from archaeological excavation right up to wildflower investigation. Now, we don't have anything that begins with Z, so A to W is as much as we can do. But we pretty much provide a very wide range of courses. You'll also note there from the middle that we cover pretty much every level on the National Framework of Qualifications that's part of higher education, right from level 6 right up to level 9. So we have everything from very short courses, and you'll note there I also mentioned standalone modules down on the right-hand side. So we have some very short courses that are maybe 5 or 10 credits on the national framework, right up to full-on master's degrees. So those short courses can take anything up to 13 weeks, where like 1 semester, or we have full-on master's degrees that would last perhaps up to 2 or 2.5 years. at level 9 on the National Framework of Qualifications. And you can see from the little graph there that over half of our courses are at level 9 for postgraduate opportunities for graduates. However, we also provide opportunities at undergraduate level, levels 6, 7, and 9. So it's impossible to go through all those programs of the 104 that I mentioned. But I can say that the disciplines that we're covering are right there across business, education and design, engineering, technology, science, and health. So we're really providing a very, very wide range of programs. Might just give a few examples there. The wildflower investigation, as I mentioned, is a 10-credit module, I believe at level 6. But we have offerings in biopharmaceutical science, in medical technologies, in regulatory affairs, for example, which are at level 9. We also provide many programs in the business, education and design discipline as well. So I'll just move on now to the next slide and talk a little bit about those flexible study options. So as I mentioned, many of the courses are online, 100% online. You never need to come to campus for any of the activities. And that suits some learners, whereas other programs that might involve a little some on-campus activity are what we call blended. So blended means that you will have some on-campus activity or have to come to one of the campuses for some of the delivery of the course. But that might not be every week. It might be once a semester. It might be at the weekends. It varies from course to course, but you should inquire about that before you apply to see if it suits you. So there are some options there for online courses as well. So if it doesn't suit to come to campus, just choose one of the fully online courses. I'll just talk for a little bit about Springboard and Springboard Plus. So this is an initiative of the Higher Education Authority to provide funding for courses up to 90% for those who are in employment and 100% for those who are unemployed. Again, this is part of the upskilling, reskilling initiative of the Irish government and something that we support here at Atlantic Technological Universities. We again have many programs in this area, very much geared towards STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths, covering areas like manufacturing and construction, building information modeling, so the smart buildings, and of course the green economy, in information communications technologies and data analytics and software development, in business management, and this in biopharma and medical technologies. And I'd just like to give a shout out maybe to 2 brand new programs that are available there in biopharmaceutical manufacturing and entrepreneurship, and also in medical technologies and entrepreneurship. So those are 2 programs we're really excited about. You can find out more information about those at atu.ie/springboard. In terms of our accreditations, so we have many accreditations from a number of different providers. You can see people there like Engineers Ireland or the Chartered Surveyors of Ireland. Some of our courses that require a certification, or where a certification is really, really important in, say, engineering or accountancy or other areas, then we work with a provider, somebody who gives that accreditation, and we build that into our courses. So when you get the course, you obtain an award from Atlantic Technological University and also an accreditation from one of the accrediting bodies who are listed there. In terms of our partners, and we partner with many industry bodies and industry companies to be able to provide our training and our courses. So you'll see people there like NIBRT, the National Institute for Bioprocessing Research and Training, DASB, the Digital Academy for Sustainable Built Environment, and a number of the skill nets. So there are many skill nets that we work with, like Irish MedTech Skill Net, for example, who are a very important partner for us in terms of building and designing our programs, in terms of delivering our programs. And some of those programs are co-delivered in partnership with some of the skill nets. So just like to mention those. Coming towards the end of my slide deck now, Jean, and just to kind of reinforce that upskilling, reskilling agenda of ATU, another important aspect for us is trying to improve access, widening the access to our courses for every learner. And that means that we'll provide multiple entry points to higher education and lifelong learning right across the National Framework of Qualifications. So as I mentioned, from level 6 right up to level 9. And we do that by designing flexible learning, online and blended learning, as I mentioned, and more as we see work-based learning, project-based learning, and bespoke learning. Also, shorter courses. So that number of standalone courses that we offer, those shorter courses, is increasing all the time. And you may hear a term called micro-credentials, and you'll hear a lot more about that in the future from us here at ATU. In terms of how to apply, well, that depends on the course that you go for. If you find the information, the only website you really have to remember, and we're popping some links there in the chat as well that you can get, is atu.ie/flexible. From there, you can get right to all our January start programs, find the program that suits you, and then find out some more information and look out for that apply now button, or how to apply, or apply now with the program name, like the example there for Irish Wildflowers. So it's really easy to apply. You'll see those buttons a lot. So it should be super easy to make an application. Thanks, Jean.
Excellent. And actually, I really like your second last slide, Eamon, if you don't mind going back to it, the one with the kind of the pathway along it, because I thought it was really good and really clear on for people who don't understand what the framework is and the different levels. So they can see there that school or further education, like a Leaving Cert, is the level 5. So our entry then would be the level 6 and level 7, level 8 and onwards to your master's at level 9. So I think that's really clear how that shows that. So it's really good. And also the fact that we mentioned micro-credentials. So people may have a specific piece of learning that they're interested in rather than a whole program. So they can apply and do that specific piece of learning. Did you want to come in there, Eamon?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. And micro-credentials is going to be, I believe, and many others do as well, that micro-credentials will be a really important part of higher education into the future. And the whole ethos of micro-credentials is that you're able to have that accredited learning, which might be a short course, but you're able to bank it, get those credits and add those credits to another micro-credential or major award in the future, and actually stack them up so that in the future you're able to obtain a higher qualification or a higher award. And you're absolutely right on the levels. Again, right from Leaving Cert at level 5 through to our entry point into higher education, if you like, at level 6, or the first level of the award, and on to level 7, ordinary degrees, level 8, honours degrees, level 9, masters. And indeed, level 10 needs a mention there as well in terms of PhDs or doctorate studies if people want to go on to that. And the idea is that we're trying to widen access so that more people can come into higher education than have heretofore or up to now. And that's definitely part of the vision of Atlantic Technological University.
Absolutely, and access is so important. And when you mention even our offerings, we have online for people who can't attend college. We have, the blended version, which is coming and doing your online, or then we have courses that are on campus. So we kind of have an offering for everybody with regards to how they actually access that further education, which is great. The other thing you mentioned was Springboard and SkillNet, which is funding. So it's important that people are aware that there are funding opportunities for them as well. And as you mentioned, level 6 through Springboard is totally free for everybody. It's 100% funded. That 90% funding comes in from level 7 right through to level 9 for people who are in employment. But it's a really, really good initiative, and it's a really good way to do that kind of stackable modules. And I know within ATU we have certs that might be 30 credits, but they are part of a higher award, like a higher cert of 120 credits. So you could do one aspect of it free through Springboard and do the other aspect, the remaining modules, as fee paying. So there's lots of options, routes for fees. People can pay in installments. They get tax back on fees. So there are lots of options there for people with regard to funding and funding mechanisms. So if you contact the ATU directly, they'll be able to help you with that. But thanks a million, Eamon. That was really informative.
Joanne? You're very welcome. Thanks, Jean.
No problem. Joanne,
I'll just stop sharing now.
Perfect. Thank you, Eamon. I think, Joanne, you're not sharing any slides, but we might move to you with some questions if that's okay. You're involved with the kind of the management of students and their experience within the ATU, but how best do students work, they balance work, life and flexible learning or doing courses? How best would they manage that?
Okay.
Well, it's a really good question, Jean, and it's a really important question because I suppose in ATU we have designed our courses to be flexible so that students, regardless of, I suppose, where they are in their life, that they will hopefully be able to participate and actively participate in one of our courses, whether it's fully online, blended, or on campus. So I would say the secret to success really around this is before you even begin the course. So firstly, I would say you should really research your course well. And Eamon talked about the whole range of courses there and the apply button, but go into the program pages on our website and have a look through to make sure it's the course for you. So I would say get your research done early and understand the commitment involved in studying on an online basis, on a part-time basis, on a blended basis. You'll have lectures. Obviously, they might be in the evening if they're fully online. They might be partly on campus, partly online. And it's a really good idea to get a sense of how many hours that's going to be in a week in terms of your formal commitment, and then how many hours on top of that you're going to have to do in terms of your self-directed learning, because attending at lectures is just one part of your course. The great thing about studying online is that most of the lectures are recorded. So if you miss a class, you can go back, view the recording in your own time and at your own pace. But it's important to set aside the time for that. And, you know, we like to see people getting involved in the live lectures early on and really trying to keep up from an early stage. It's also important to understand your assessment. So some assessment, maybe fully continuous assessment throughout your course. There may be exams at the end of your course, at the end of the semester, and it could be a mixture of both. Continuous assessment and exams. So again, I would say it's really important to understand, how is my course being assessed and what's the kind of time commitment I'm going to have to give around those assessments, whether it's regular assignments or projects, and how else will I have to participate, and you know, when are my exams, and what the dates are around that. I would say apply early. Once you've done your research, get your application in quickly. And Jean, you mentioned, and you might before the end as well, mention our deadlines for the January intake. If you get your application in quickly, it can be assessed more quickly. And, you know, the sooner, if you're eligible, that you'll be getting an offer on a place. And the great thing is, once you have an offer of a place, you'll have access to the pre-induction resources that we would make available to our applicants. And this is really good, particularly for people who are preparing for a return to study, maybe haven't been studying since, you know, they were in school or they did their degree a long time ago. So the pre-induction, which is again an online resource, is going to help you get the kind of academic skills that you need, kind of maybe back in train again, and introduce you to some of those remote learning tools that you'll be exposed to as part of your course. You'll hear talk about the virtual learning environment. It could be Moodle or Blackboard. So again, you get exposure to some of these tools and online environments, if you like, before you even start your course. So that's what I would suggest, is to get the offer in, or to get the application in, and if you're accepted on your course, to engage with the pre-induction early. Once you get notification to register as a student, again, I would say get that done quickly, because that's what gives you access to all of the systems that are there, that are going to support you and are going to facilitate your online program or your blended program. The induction, you will have a full induction before you commence your course. And again, that's a really good opportunity to get a good start in terms of meeting your lecturers, whether it's online or whether it's face-to-face, understanding who the support staff are across all the various functions, getting your timetable and an overview of your program. This is really important again, because what you want to avoid really is a sense of being overwhelmed or thinking, you know, I've actually taken on a bit too much, or I really didn't get started on this soon enough. If you get your timetable, it allows you to look ahead, take your calendar out and see, look, what are the times I need to set aside to attend my lectures, attend workshops? What's the kind of time I need to commit around the learning, the independent learning, and to put those, dates and times in your diary. And I suppose it's important to say that sometimes we need to make sure the people around us as well also know we've taken on a program of learning and what the commitment is going to involve for you. You might have to adjust caring responsibilities that you have, for example. You might have to speak to your employer. Your employer might be able to assist you in terms of time off to study, if they're not maybe funding you financially. So I think the support of those around you is really important. And just the practical side of balancing work, you might be out all day, you're tired, you come home, have you somewhere to sit that's comfortable, that you can access your live lectures? Have you somewhere to access your recorded lectures? Have you time set aside for this? So I think planning is hugely important, Jean. Planning ahead, planning your calendar, planning your diary, understanding when you have deadlines. That's really important, so that you can maybe set aside the time to put a bit of extra work in at the end when maybe the pressure is on a little bit, or booking the time off, for example, to attend exams. If you're an overseas student, for example, in ATU Sligo, you might be able to assess online exams and you won't have to travel for them. But generally speaking, we do offer our exams at venues, at our campuses, and a couple of other venues. So it's important to take the time to book that time off work and to allow for it. So I think that the secret really, Jean, in the balance is the planning ahead, getting in early, really, taking advantage of all of the supports and resources that we might talk about in a moment. But there's and I suppose connecting to your own motivation as well, and kind of when the going gets a little bit hard, maybe you've been at it for a while or you have deadlines coming up, is remembering why you took it on in the first place, and where it's going to take you. When you have it finished, and the success that you have, which is great. And I mean, the good thing is we have so many people on board to advise, from Bridie's My Career Path at the very beginning, to make sure that you're really getting onto the right course, I suppose, and that'll sustain you on your journey through.
Absolutely. So preparation really is key, and consideration of your program and the motivation to know that this program is going to help you maybe progress your career in a specific role. I know we deal with a lot of companies, and we have plotted with them, somebody starts in this role, but they'd like to move to this role, what type of programs and courses they could do to help them to progress within that role. And there may be potential that there's people online now are working in industries, and other people within those companies have already studied a course with us who could act as a mentor or help them through the process. And we would see that with a lot of companies. So as part of your research, maybe reach out internally to see has somebody else done that course, and they may be able to help you if you need it at any point in the process. But preparation seems to be key to make sure you select the right program. And that's also really important for Springboard, actually, that Eamon mentioned earlier, because with Springboard, if you complete the first registration step and withdraw at that point, that will hinder your progression onto another Springboard program. So it's important that you pick the right one for you. You mentioned the supports available. Could you go into more detail about what actually is available for our flexible learners within the ATU?
Absolutely, Jean. I suppose, again, at application stage, really important to remember, if you're not sure about your course, the My Career Path service is there for you. If you're interested in any course in ATU, there's always somebody that's going to be able to advise you further, whether it's an online student advisor or another members of the admissions team across the campuses. You'll get the advice there. I suppose when a lot of students come onto our courses, and if they haven't been in formal study or education for a long time, that can be a little bit daunting. So we have specific support centres in place for academic writing, for example, Jean, and also for maths. So two particular areas that are going to help you with report writing, assignment writing, how to write for assessment, how to do exams, how to write quickly in a short space of time, and we have a lot of engineering programs, so the math side of things is also there, and those appointments are available on campus. Usually they're bookable online for students who are at a distance. So two really good supports there, I think, in very practical ways. We also have a number of student advisors operating across the campuses that are aligned to particular suites of courses, and they're available to help students for all non-academic queries. So it might be that you're looking to defer a part of your course, to defer a module, or maybe you can't take an exam and you're looking to defer that exam. So there's lots of systems and I guess regulations around the university, but the advisors are there to help you and to navigate those and to assist you with what you want to do, so that we can remain flexible, I suppose, in our delivery, but enable you to continue your course. We have a lot of supports around things like student success, around study skills, around how to really engage with your learning and get the most out of it, because again, if it's a return to education, your first time round might have been very different, and this is something really more where we want you to have the ownership, and we want you to be able to take on the learning and to use it and to be able to perform successfully around your assessment on it. We've a springboard, particularly a springboard support for students, and springboard coordinator in the ATU for any springboard students that have particular issues also. And we also have, I suppose, you know, it's important to say that any of the services or any of the systems that are used by students, such as Moodle, and there's an IT help desk there, for example, for students if, you know, you haven't, you know, done a whole lot of IT in a while, or you're back to sitting in front of a screen. That's important. Our library service is there for students. And again, we've staff there that will help students to use the library, maybe if they're an online student, or if they don't get to campus very often and they're on a blended program. So I would say, Jean, we have a whole range of people really waiting there to help students. And I would always say, for any students who has a difficulty or is a bit of trouble or is thinking, do you know what, I can't do this, there's always somebody there that they can reach out to and that can help them in any aspect of their course. So I would say, if you haven't been in education for a while, definitely don't let that deter you from pressing that apply now button.
Yeah, and it's important that people are aware that they're not differentiated compared to a full-time student that's coming to campus. They can avail of all those services, the library service that you mentioned, getting their student ID. So all of those services are available to them. They're not hindered in any way. They can access all of those systems. And pre-induction will give them a lot of that information in advance. And I mentioned Michael earlier with Bridie, which was a student that we talked about, and he had been out of education for 30 years, and he did the course with Bridie. He hadn't sat his leaving cert, but through the My Career Path, he identified a program that was suitable for him, that looked at what he was good at and, you know, his areas that he had a particular talent in. But he said on that part of that chat that, having completed the My Career Path, he now knew that all of these services were available to them, and he now knew how to access them. And so he wasn't daunted going into that process, because he knew there were services that he could avail of, which was really important for him. And what was nice is he started in September, but he started with his daughter, who was coming out of second level school straight into college, and they both started together, something he said he never thought would happen. So it was a really nice story, but it just shows you that there are supports there. You know, he hadn't his leaving cert, he was kind of conscious about maths, but he became aware of the math services, and he said, you know, even if I struggle, I know there's support there that I can reach out to. So that was really important. So thank you, Joanne.
No problem. Thanks, Jean.
We'll move on to you, Donald, if that's okay. And I know you're going to speak to us, you know, you're a staff member within ATU, but you're going to speak to us in relation to your experiences. And can you tell us what you studied at ATU and the impact that that's had on your career?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Jean. So after being out of education for about 14 years, I enrolled as a mature student in the Bachelor of Business part-time degree. That was in 2013. So it was a 3 years honours degree. It was delivered twice a week on campus. So I completed that in 2016. The programme has now changed. It's blended delivery. So it's one evening on campus and one evening online, and it intakes every September. So September 24 will be the next intake for that. I was working as a self-employed contractor at the time, so I was able to apply a lot of what I was learning in the modules to my business. Areas such as management, leadership, marketing and finance probably stood out the most within the management and leadership modules. I was learning theories behind how to best manage employees and how to lead the company in the direction that I wanted to go. whereas you had financial modules then that enabled me to manage my own payroll system and understand the different taxes involved within the business. So it was a mixture of continuous assessment and exams. So yeah, it made me get used to that exam setting once again that I hadn't been in for so long. So that degree gave me a broad depth of knowledge, which gave me the courage to enroll in a master's program shortly afterwards. So I enrolled in the MBS Innovation and Leadership program in January 2018 and completed that 2 years later, December 2019. So I suppose, I know it's a cliche, but that program definitely changed my life. It made me reevaluate how, what I wanted to achieve as a professional and as a person. So the MBS program is very much focused on personal development, even though it is a business program. It's all about self-development as a leader and a manager. So it helps you create the ability to lead and manage change within your own organization. So that was it is a block delivered program, whereas it's now been revalidated. So you have 6 10-credit modules that are block delivered in 2 2-day blocks. So you have 4 days of contact per module, and those 6 modules are spread out across 18 months. Whereas the last 6 months, you're taking on a dissertation, but all the modules feed into that dissertation. So it's not like a brand new piece of research you're taking on. Everything just feeds into that. So realistically, you're pulling everything together and topping and tailing it at the end for the last 6 months. So those were the courses that I have completed to date anyway, Jean.
Yes, yeah. And they've been hugely beneficial, obviously, for you, then, and they've had that kind of an impact on your life. But how was it to actually work and study part-time at the same time? How difficult was that for you?
Yeah, it was challenging. However, I can say with all honesty that the reward completely outweighed the effort involved in getting there. When I completed my undergraduate degree, I didn't have any kids, so I had a lot more free time than when I took on the master's. So when I took on the master's, I had a new challenge of balancing family life with work and study commitments. If anything, this played to my advantage because it forced me to use my time much more efficiently. So my time management skills improved significantly over that period. And I learned to use short periods for, say, collecting information that I feel might have been useful in assignments. And then if I could string longer periods together, a few hours, 2 or 3 hours, I would use that for writing up assignments, because with longer periods, you tend to hit a rhythm and produce better material that reads better. You get into a routine, though shortly after entering a program, you do hit a routine. And the most important thing is to remember that the lecturers are well aware that they're dealing with students who are not studying full time. They're part-time students who are possibly working full time and have full-time family commitments as well. So the lecturers within the programs on the OFPD programs, they'll work with you in order to give you every support to ensure you get your assignments over the line and eventually complete the program and graduate. I suppose I'd advise anybody that's considering taking on a program to take the first step in contacting someone like myself, one of the program coordinators, with any queries that you might have. If you've a gut instinct that the program is for you, the next piece of advice would be to apply, take the step and give it a go. Because I remember when I was I remember the first night actually before I went into the first lecture of the undergraduate degree that I completed. I was sitting in the car park in Letterkenny IT as I was then, and I rang my wife and said that I wasn't sure whether to go in the door or not. But luckily I did, and thankfully I've never looked back. I used the master's program, the MBS, as a platform to change my career altogether. So when COVID hit, the business course took a downturn. Nothing was happening in that area. So I registered with the Teaching Council and taught business at secondary level for a year. And I suppose I ended up coming full circle then. I ended up applying for a position in ATU, and now I'm the Executive and Professional Education Coordinator within the Faculty of Business. So I coordinate the two programs that I completed myself.
Wow, that's fantastic, and it's a lovely story to see how it came full circle.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you if you had one piece of advice, but I think you covered that in relation to reach out to the course coordinator. And I suppose that's important for everyone to know, that we are very approachable. We're happy to take questions, queries. Course coordinators are happy to speak to anybody about their programs and give them whatever information they need. So people might be aware of what they're doing now, and they might be aware of another job within their company that they'd like to do, but they mightn't be sure if a particular course is going to be suitable for them to progress to that. So course coordinators, online student advisors that Joanne mentioned, our admissions team, they're all happy to take any kind of queries that come in relation to programs, courses, how they can help people, and those snippets of learning that we talked about, those micro credentials. So you maybe see just one module on a program that you're interested in, and how do you go about registering for that? But yeah, that was really interesting, Donna.